Y'all know the phrase, what is for you is for you. Let me tell you a little story. So flashback to 2018. I ain't got no job other than the Navy Reserves and teaching a couple of acting and dance classes, living in Florida. So I find this job post and it's legit. They need a social media marketer. It's a remote position. Again, this is 2018, remote position, paying $80,000 per year. You will work from home, but you will also get to travel to beautiful Belize, where I am right now, because the call center is here. So I was going to be doing the social media marketing. The application process was lengthy. They had almost 300 people apply, and I was like number 8 out of 300. Like, they only called back the top 10 to go through their final interview, which was, the second to the last stage of interview, which was you had to basically write out a social media marketing plan. Just, they gave you like a scenario, you had to go through it, and they were not expecting 2 or 3 sentences. They wanted you to flush it out. So I flushed it out and I made it, I think, to like either the top 3 or the top 5. Great. So then the vice president calls me and he lets me know that he and the president, they absolutely loved everything that I could do, that I was actually their top candidate for social media marketing. But then they realized that they have thousands upon thousands of leads, email, and they need to work those leads more than they need to work the brand and the marketing of the company. And so they went with someone who was stronger in email marketing than me. And when I told him, I said, okay, well, thank you so much. And he let me know again how wonderful I was. That's how I found out that there was almost 300 people applying, because he wanted me to know that I was that damn good. That out of 300 people, I made it down, like I said, again, the top 5 or the top 3, somewhere in there. And all I remember is getting off the phone with him, trying to hold it together as best as possible. And I went in the living room and I told my dad I didn't get that job. And when I say I cried because I needed a job. I have more rejection letters than I do acceptance letters. I did not get a full-time job until I went active duty in the Navy in 2019 when I was a recruiter. All of my jobs have always been part-time, and when I say I have no more do I have these. I actually deleted a lot of them, but I had emails, and in various emails accounts, just rejection letter. Had to pause for a moment, there's something going by. But like, it was rejection letter after rejection letter. I mean, I was getting rejected from about every company, you name it, Blockbuster, Target, Lenovo, other random businesses. I could not get a job. I've had my resume rewritten by friends, family, people who I knew who worked at a place trying to get me hired would write my resume. My dad paid $120 for a professional resume writer to write my resume, and I still could not get a job. And that means from the moment I turned my tassel in 2006 at UNCG until 2019, when I went active duty as a recruiter, I never had a full-time job. I just had part-time jobs, some hustles here and there. That's it. Constantly putting in applications and getting absolutely nothing. So you can imagine how crushed I felt to be in the top out of about 300 people with an $80,000 salary, being able to travel back and forth to Belize. And Florida to Belize is a short flight. And in my mind, when I saw that, I was like, well, okay, I'll, save up my money and then I'll move out to Los Angeles. I'll move to New York off of my salary, this, that, and the third, So I didn't get that job. Like I said, I cried. I mean, when I say I cried. And my dad just sat in the recliner and he looked so helpless because there's nothing that he could do. I'm not going to start crying. But, give me a minute. So anyways, what I ended up doing is I went back to my room, all through my tears and whatnot. And my plan was email my captain, the fleet surgeon, because when I go to Bahrain, I work for the fleet surgeon. And I was like, email captain and ask him to write me some special orders for as long as he can to Bahrain. At least give me a year. Give me a year or 2 years. And I was like, I could just stay in Bahrain for 2 years, stack all my money, move to LA. And I opened my email, and there's an email in there that said recruiters, Los Angeles. And it was an email that I had missed, right? Because when I opened it, the deadline had already passed for me to to apply for orders. I mean, it had passed. It had been over a week. And I was like, oh. And I thought about it and I was like, just email Captain. And then something in my spirit said, no, call. And so I called the Master Chief, who was on the phone number. I called Master Chief and I said, I must have overlooked this email, but I just wondered, do you all have any slots left open in Los Angeles? And Master Chief said, yes, we do. She was like, do you know anybody in Los Angeles? Do you know about whereabouts you would like to be? And I said, well, I got a cousin in Hollywood. Child, I don't know where my cousin was living at the time, but last I had heard, she was in Hollywood. So I was like, yeah, my cousin's in Hollywood. And she said, okay, fill out, the paperwork. She sent me the packet. And then she calls me back like the next day and she said, we have an opening in Burbank. And I took the orders. And that's actually how I ended up in Los Angeles, is I didn't get the job. It would have landed me here in beautiful Belize, bouncing back and forth, paying me $80,000, and I would have saved that $80,000 salary as much as I could and went out to Los Angeles. But instead, I got to Los Angeles on the Navy's dime. And I think back to what I had told my recruiter, which is, I need to get to Los Angeles or New York. And if the Navy can get me there, okay. And that's what I kept having in my mind is, if the Navy can get me to Los Angeles or New York, I'll do it. If they can get me there, if they can get me there, if they can get me there. That's what was in my mind. But my actions were just all over, not really even all over the place, but my actions were still get a job, get a job, get a job, get a job, get a job. And the Navy got me there because I spoke it out that the Navy would get me there. So the Navy got me to Los Angeles. And I did my recruiting thing, but in between recruiting, I built up my career and what I do, which is in the entertainment industry. And yeah, again, what is for you will be for you. I have made my most money outside of the Navy. I have made my most money and been the happiest every time I am on a stage in front of a camera, working on, crew for a show or whatever. That's where my most money comes, and that's where I'm the happiest. So when you are in alignment with what it is that you want to do, everything will fall into place. It'll just fall into place. And there are so many wonderful things happening for me in the entertainment industry that I'm excited about. But I always kind of still hold in my mind that story in 2018 of not getting that job and going to my email and seeing that email that said recruiters Los Angeles. And now here I am about to enjoy 10 wonderful days in Belize, and I don't have to work. What is for you is for you. So walk in your purpose, stay in alignment. Even if other people look at you and be like, I don't know what you're doing, I don't know what you're thinking, you ain't that good, you really think you're that good, it's a pipe dream, get a real job. Stay in alignment. Because every time I tried to get a real job, it fell apart. I love you. Bye-bye.